Picture this. You're one of the biggest names in hip-hop, a cultural icon who moves through the world knowing every eye is on you, and then you wake up one morning to find out you were supposedly at a place you never stepped foot in. That's exactly what happened to Kendrick Lamar, and the internet absolutely lost its mind when the truth came out. So here's how it all went down. Last night there was this college basketball game, right? Nothing too crazy, just another game in the season. But then people started talking. Screenshots started flying across social media faster than you could blink. Fans were going absolutely wild, swearing up and down that they spotted Kendrick Lamar sitting courtside, watching the game like he didn't have a care in the world. Twitter exploded. Instagram went into overdrive. Everybody and their mama was posting about it, tagging their friends, sharing blurry photos taken from the nosebleed seats trying to prove they were in the same building as the legend himself. The energy was electric. People were losing their entire minds thinking they breathed the same air as the man who gave us classics that define a generation. Welcome to celebrity rap life, where the red carpets never roll up and the spotlight never fades. The rewards are legendary. Because in celebrity rap life, every downfall can become a comeback, and every headline tells a deeper story. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a second of what's coming next. But wait, hold up. Because this is where things get interesting, and trust me, you're not ready for this twist. Kendrick wakes up this morning, probably scrolling through his phone like any normal person does when they first open their eyes, and suddenly he's seeing his name trending everywhere. He's reading posts about how he was at this basketball game, how he looked, what he was wearing, who he was supposedly sitting with, the whole 9 yards. Fans were writing entire paragraphs about the moment they thought they saw him, describing everything down to the smallest detail. Some people were even claiming they made eye contact with him. The hype was real. The excitement was through the roof. Everyone was absolutely convinced that Kendrick Lamar had blessed this random college basketball game with his presence. Now imagine being Kendrick in this moment. You're lying there, maybe still in bed, definitely confused, reading all these posts about yourself being somewhere you definitely were not. That feeling must have been wild. Like, how do you even process that? Here are thousands of people, maybe tens of thousands, all completely sure they know where you were last night, all sharing their experiences and excitement, and you're just sitting there knowing for a fact that you were nowhere near that arena. You weren't at any basketball game. You were probably at home, in the studio, or handling business somewhere completely different. But the internet had already decided your location, already written the story, and already spread it like wildfire across every platform imaginable. The thing about this situation is it really shows you how wild social media has become and how fast misinformation spreads when people want to believe something badly enough. Think about it. Someone probably saw a guy who looked kind of like Kendrick from far away. Or maybe they just wanted to see Kendrick so badly that their mind played tricks on them. Maybe it was the lighting, maybe it was wishful thinking, maybe it was someone who just happened to have a similar build or was wearing similar clothes. Whatever it was, that one moment of mistaken identity turned into a full-blown viral moment that had everyone convinced they knew exactly where one of the most famous rappers in the world was spending his Tuesday night. Nobody stopped to verify. Nobody questioned it. They just ran with it because the idea of Kendrick being there was exciting enough to be true. And you know what makes this even crazier? This isn't even the first time something like this has happened to a celebrity. Famous people get spotted all the time in places they've never been. But there's something extra wild about it happening to Kendrick specifically, because he's not the type to be all over the place doing publicity stunts and showing up at random events just for attention. He moves differently. He's selective about where he appears and what he does publicly. So when people thought they saw him at this game, it felt like a rare sighting, like catching a glimpse of something special. That's what made everyone so hyped. That's what made the news spread so fast. It felt like a moment, like something worth talking about, worth sharing, worth being part of. But the reality is Kendrick was probably somewhere completely mundane, living his regular life, doing whatever it is he does when he's not creating music that changes the culture. Maybe he was working on new material. Maybe he was spending time with family. Maybe he was just chilling at home watching TV or playing video games or doing absolutely nothing important at all. The point is, he was living his life without any idea that thousands of strangers were convinced they knew his exact location and were busy posting about it online like it was breaking news. That disconnect between reality and what people believe is happening is honestly kind of mind-blowing when you really think about it. The discovery must have been surreal for him. Like, do you laugh? Do you feel weird about it? Do you immediately want to set the record straight, or do you just let people believe what they want to believe? Because here's the thing, once that story is out there, once it's been shared and reshared and talked about and turned into memes and posts and conversations, it takes on a life of its own. Trying to correct it is like trying to put toothpaste back in the tube. Sure, you can say something, but half the people won't see your correction, and some won't even believe you when you tell them the truth. They'll think you're just trying to maintain your privacy or throw people off. They've already committed to their version of events in their minds. What really gets you thinking is how confident everyone was. These weren't people saying, I think I maybe saw Kendrick, or someone who looked like him might have been there. Nah, people were stating it as absolute fact. They were describing what he was doing, how he was reacting to plays, whether he seemed into the game or not. They were building an entire narrative around something that never happened. That's the power of belief right there. When people want something to be true, when they convince themselves they saw something, their brain fills in all the details to make the story complete. They don't even realize they're creating fiction. To them, it's as real as anything else they experienced that day. And think about the other people at that game who probably looked nothing like Kendrick, but now might forever be that guy everyone thought was Kendrick Lamar. Imagine being that person, going to a basketball game just to have a good time, watch some college kids play ball, maybe grab some overpriced arena nachos, and then finding out later that thousands of people thought you were one of the greatest rappers alive. That's either going to be the funniest story you tell for the rest of your life, or it's going to be really annoying depending on what kind of person you are. Either way, that random person became part of internet history without ever meaning to, all because they happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time looking vaguely like somebody famous. This whole situation also puts into perspective what it must be like to actually be Kendrick Lamar every single day. Can you imagine living in a world where people are constantly claiming they saw you places you weren't? Where your every move is watched and discussed and analyzed? Where you can't even stay home without somehow being spotted somewhere across town? The lack of privacy, the constant attention, the way people feel entitled to know where you are and what you're doing at all times must be absolutely exhausting. Most of us can't even comprehend what that level of fame feels like. We go about our lives in relative anonymity, able to go to the grocery store or a basketball game or anywhere else without anyone caring or noticing. But for someone like Kendrick, even when he's not there, people think he is. His presence is so significant that people manifest it out of thin air. The internet did what the internet does best though. Once people started realizing the truth, once someone probably asked the right questions or Kendrick or his team addressed it somehow, the whole thing became a joke. People started making memes about it, laughing at themselves for believing it, creating content about how they were so sure they saw him but it turned out to be just some random guy. The self-awareness came flooding in, and instead of being embarrassed, everyone just turned it into entertainment. That's social media culture in a nutshell. We create these moments of collective belief, share them with enthusiasm, and then when they fall apart, we laugh about it and move on to the next thing. The cycle never stops. Tomorrow there'll be another celebrity spotted somewhere they weren't, and the whole thing will start all over again. But for Kendrick, for those few hours between when the story broke and when the truth came out, he got to experience one of the strangest feelings a person can have in the digital age. He got to see himself from the outside, to watch the world create a version of him that existed only in their collective imagination. He got to witness thousands of people being completely wrong about something while being absolutely certain they were right. That kind of experience probably makes you think differently about fame, about truth, about how little control we actually have over our own narratives once they enter the public space. Because even though he knows where he was and what he was doing, for a moment there, the internet decided otherwise, and their version of reality was the one that mattered to everyone who wasn't him. So yeah, Kendrick Lamar found out he was at a college basketball game last night. Except he wasn't. He was somewhere else entirely, living his life, completely unaware that he was supposedly courtside watching young athletes compete. The whole thing is bizarre when you really break it down. It's funny, it's strange, it's a little concerning when you think about how easily false information spreads, and it's absolutely fascinating as a window into how fame works in the age of social media. One mistaken identity turned into a viral moment that thousands of people participated in, believed in, and shared with complete confidence. And somewhere, Kendrick probably just shook his head, maybe laughed a little, and went on with his day, knowing that no matter how private he tries to keep his life, the internet will always have its own ideas about where he is and what he's doing. That's just the reality of being that famous, that relevant, That much of a cultural presence that people want to believe you're everywhere all at once. Wild times we're living in, for real. This story is far from over, and the truth is still unfolding. I want to hear what you think. Drop your take in the comments. And if you don't want to miss the next twist, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a second of what's coming next.